Hello, Leo, and welcome to your monthly video horoscope for the month of December. Here's wishing you a very happy season, Leo, and a very prosperous new year, regardless of how you celebrate this season or if you celebrate this season. Before I start talking about this month's astrology, I've been wanting to express to all you people who watch these videos that if you have an opportunity to watch this for your rising sign in addition to your sun sign, I really recommend doing so. Watching it for your rising sign, you'll probably find even more accurate than your sun sign. Doesn't mean you can't watch it for your sun sign. Please do both. If you don't know your rising sign, on my website, I do have a free chart calculator. It's under the Astrological Services tab of my website. You'll find a free chart calculator. You'll need to know your birth time in order to figure out your rising sign. If you don't know your birth time, please continue to listen to your sun sign horoscopes. You'll get a lot of information from that as well. So let's talk about this month's astrology. So have you ever had this one before? Where's my glasses? Has anybody seen my glasses? Now, it can feel really embarrassing to find out that those glasses were right on top of your head the whole time. Part of the reason you couldn't, find your glasses was you couldn't see your glasses without having your glasses on. Am I right? I've been through that one before. The other reason is because you weren't using the rest of your senses appropriately, such as your sense of feeling. You weren't paying attention quite to the level that would have been helpful for you to be able to pay attention to what was going on in your environment. We're going to partially cover a little bit of that this month because there's a certain degree with the aspects that are present this month of tuning into something which you find out was there all along, and something opens up for you as a result of doing so. But I wanted to touch on big news this month, basically since 2011. Pluto and Uranus have been doing a very tense dance interaction with each other called a square. That's when two planets form an angle of 90 degrees. It creates tension between those two planets, which eventually brings release and opportunity. Now, these two planets are forming another exact aspect this month around the 15th. And then in March, they'll do the same thing again, and then those two planets will not form that aspect again for quite a long time. So that's one of the aspects that we're going to touch on today in relation to how it affects your personal astrology and how it affects your ability to see an opportunity that was likely right there in front of you the whole time. Part of finding that opportunity is likely going to involve going into some vulnerable spaces inside of yourself, going into some of your dark areas. I don't mean gray areas. I mean those areas that you don't want to face, those things that you don't want to take a look at. But Pluto always lets us know that if we go through those experiences, we're given a lot of power. We're given a lot of strength in order to create change. And there's an awful lot of potential on offer for you through going through this experience. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's talk about the first week and some of the aspects that will be going on there. You've had Jupiter in your sign this year for a good amount of time now, and Jupiter will be forming a harmonious angle with Venus. This deals on one level with how you've been putting effort and energy towards your path and towards the things which are very important and vital to you. But perhaps on some levels you've been trying and struggling a little too hard, rather than just recognizing your strength, tuning into, I want to use the word potency, tuning into your potential, and from being confident inside of yourself, which ordinarily your sign is pretty good at, but you've had a rough go of things, over the course of the last year, at least, and so it's been a little bit difficult for you to do so. This is about regaining your confidence. We've been talking about that the last couple of months, but slowly but surely, it's all coming back to you. But dignity is not how you carry yourself. Dignity is how you tune in to who you are inside of yourself. I think that's a recognition and a realization that you're going to have this month, which is going to help you tremendously. So Jupiter and Venus will be forming a harmonious angle known as a trine. On the same day, the Sun, your ruler, in the area of your chart which deals with solutions, which deals with intelligence, creativity, and expression, the Sun forms a harmonious angle from there with Uranus. Uranus in your house of opportunities, but also the way that you view things. You've been dealing with some pretty stuck energy for the last couple of years. But in relation to that, part of it has dealt with how you're relating to things. And there's a certain amount of, I want to use the word dogma, which you have been having a difficult time letting go of. Slowly but surely, it's all being released and you're beginning to see things in a new manner. Another big breakthrough happens this month with the Sun forming this harmonious alignment with Uranus, and coinciding with that, making this even more powerful, Mars will be shifting into Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. And this is also your 7th house. How you project yourself externally. The 7th house is always a mirror. It also deals with relationships. So a change in the area of relationships, and even perhaps an opportunity for a new relationship to come into being. We'll touch on that a little bit later on in the month when we get to that aspect. But also the 7th house is very supportive of career, job, how you portray yourself to the public, your public appearance. A lot of this is changing. There's a big breakthrough on offer for you this month. If you're a career-oriented person, this can really help you in that area. It can also help you in the area of relationships, but also just how you carry yourself. It's about tuning into yourself and feeling confident within yourself rather than feeling that you have to project something externally. This coincides with a full moon on the 6th. So these last few aspects were on the 4th, but there's a full moon on the 6th in a section of Gemini called Mrigashira. This is going to deal with the area of your life that is related to the path ahead, how you focus your energy on your aspirations, your goals, and how you want to pursue things. And there's a certain level of taking things apart, putting them back together again, because this full moon will take place in a section of Gemini that's called Mrigashira. Mrigashira, on one level, is how we... 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mrigashira on one level is about how we weave things together, how we weave the fabric of our life in order to create changes in specific areas of our life wherever this energy might be taking place at. And again, this is in a section of your chart that's called your 11th solar house. That deals with aspirations. On one level, it deals with ambition. So I think that this is connecting to a new way forward for you, where you are tuning in more to yourself rather than feeling like you have to project quite as much of an external face onto the public. You're just going, you know what, this is who I am, and I'm confident in my strengths, and I'm confident in my skills, and moving from that space. That coincides with a harmonious alignment from Mercury to Uranus. The Sun and Mercury are traveling in close proximity to each other all of this month. And when the Sun and Mercury conjunct each other, there's a tremendous amount of insight on offer to you, because the Sun sheds light, and Mercury is also the planet that's related to the mind. And at the time that both of these planets are forming a harmonious angle with Uranus, because the Sun did earlier in the month, and now it's Mercury that we're talking about, both the Sun and Mercury are in a section of Sagittarius that's called Jyeshta. And Jyeshta means being able to see things from a different perspective, having a higher degree of wisdom that enables you to overcome difficulties that might have been there previously. And an opportunity is on offer for you that allows a very profound breakthrough. A couple of days later, the Sun and Mercury exactly conjunct each other. And this coincides with Jupiter practically sitting still in the sky as it stations before it shifts to retrograde motion, where it apparently looks like it's moving backwards. But of course, it's not really moving backwards, it's moving forwards. It just looks that way from our perspective here on the planet. But when a planet stations, that energy of that planet becomes very powerful. Jupiter is about expansion, wisdom, and when Jupiter is stationing, there's a very high degree of receptivity. And this coincides with the conjunction between the Sun and Mercury. And Jupiter's in your sign. So a very powerful breakthrough in terms of self-development, self-understanding, and I would also say self-acceptance. A few days later, Mercury forms a harmonious angle with Jupiter, with this new understanding, putting your energy towards creating changes in your life that are going to be more productive. But there's also a danger here to get too focused and too stuck in a narrow-minded vision, when instead you need to keep your eyes open. Any brick walls that you hit, try to understand why you're hitting a brick wall rather than continuing to bang your head against that brick wall. That'll only give you a headache. Instead, you just need to take a bit of a deeper look and see things from a wider perspective. Stay balanced, stay aware. A couple of days later, you've got the Sun forming the same harmonious angle with Jupiter, because again, those two planets are traveling with each other, so shedding further light onto that situation. On the 15th, here's the big one, Uranus and Pluto squaring each other. Now, Pluto is going to be a few days later forming a conjunction with Venus, and Venus will also form a tense alignment with Uranus. So Venus is going to act as a catalyst for this type of energy. And Venus and Pluto will both be in a section of Capricorn that's called Purva Ashadha. Purva Ashadha deals with being real, tuning into how you are in your natural state, in your pure state, rather than feeling like you have to put up quite as much of a facade, or feeling like you have to put up quite as much armor, put on quite as much armor in order to deal with the world that you're dealing with. This will take place in your 6th house. 6th house on many levels deals with delays, it deals with stress, but it also deals with the amount of work that you put towards creating change in your life. And it also deals with healing as a result of doing so. So there's some tension. You're wanting an opportunity, you're looking for an opportunity, you're not finding it quite to the level that you could, but then you can begin to find, if you tune in more deeply to yourself and go, you know what, this doesn't really fit in with who I am, and maybe I need to just kind of take a more balanced and honest approach to this that fits in more with the contents of who I am inside of myself, rather than feeling like I need to be a rat running the rat race. I'd rather be something different than that. On the 21st, Mars, now in Aquarius, will form a harmonious alignment with Uranus. And what makes this alignment even more potent is that Mars will be in Aquarius, ruled by Uranus, while Uranus is in Aries, ruled by Mars. They're exchanging signs, and they're forming a harmonious angle with each other. That in itself is enough to make this aspect very powerful. But you add to that the fact that Uranus is waking up from its several months of slumber while it's been in retrograde motion. When Uranus is in retrograde motion, being the planet of the random and the revolutionary, it creates a lot of profound changes inside. And then when it shifts towards direct motion, we can initiate those changes on the external level of our life. And Mars will be in Dhanishta at the time of this aspect. Dhanishta energy likes to march to the beat of its own drum. So being authentic, being real with yourself, and being real with others. You may actually find as a result of this that there's a potential for a new relationship to come into your life, as there are factors that seem to suggest that this might be possible, and it will likely come, if it does, from an area where you least expect it, because we're dealing with Uranus. And if you've been kind of stuck in a position where you've been in limbo with that, this could be the month where that change is on offer to you. Okay. On the heels of that, the Sun enters Capricorn, beginning to shed further light on how you can apply yourself towards creating changes. On the tail end of that, you've got a new moon in Capricorn, bringing you on the tail end of it, because new moons tend to be a little bit weak in energy, but after that, they tend to bring the changes into being that they are meant to sow the seeds of. Devoted energy, passionate energy, but energy that's going into things with eyes that are more clearly open. Following after that, this is going to sound odd because most of you who know your astrology, if I say you've got the blessing of Saturn coming into your 5th house, you'd go, oh no, that's really going to be terrible. But Saturn is the planet of crystallization, and it's going to move into your house of creativity. So its impact there may create a little bit of resistance, but slowly and over time, the things that you're applying your energy towards will begin to crystallize as long as you apply yourself. Take a balanced approach to the situation that you're dealing with, and keep your eyes, ears, and all your senses on high alert for the next opportunity that's on offer for you. If you'd like to know a little bit more about how each of these aspects will affect you on a more personal scale, I offer a vast range of astrological services that are available through the astrological services page of my website. In addition to that, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page yet, you might consider doing so in order to receive regular updates whenever there's a new video that's posted to YouTube. I do new moon and full moon videos every couple of weeks, monthly video horoscopes. Also this month, at some point, there will be an interview with another fellow Vedic astrologer talking about our approach to Vedic astrology and also our approach to our clients. So I do hope that you subscribe so that you can receive those updates every time there's a new video released. Until next time, Leo, do take care of yourself, and I do hope that you have a very happy holiday season and a very prosperous